My relationship with the Marvel Fox movies has always been turbulent. It started great with X-Men and X2, but then started drinking and got a bit abusive with Daredevil, The Last Stand and Rise of the Silver Surfer. I found an old photo album looking back on good days when I was a little bit older with Blade, and we got back on track with First Class and Days of Future Past. But then had a relapse with Apocalypse, Fantastic, and then it shat the bed with Dark Phoenix. We tried experimenting with this guy called Deadpool, and it was great, we got Logan as a result, but the third strike, and that was it. New Mutants was vomited into existence, and I left thinking I would probably never go back. Disney then bought Fox, and with all the way it was going around that time, I was really upset to see things from my childhood be claimed by the juggernaut that leaves nothing but bones of franchises behind. I never believed in a million years that Disney would allow Deadpool to have a third Deadpool movie the way it should be done, you know, R-rated, violence, swearing, and a metric fuck ton of innuendos. But when it was confirmed that's what we'd be getting, a glimmer of hope shone through the cavalcade of shite that was the Multiverse of Madness and She-Hulk. I started to believe. The trailers did nothing to dim that hope. It was looking like what we wanted. Now the film's out, I've seen it, and to be honest, I don't really know where to go with this. The film is a good breath of fresh air, but the problem is that we know we've got to go back into the office and sit next to the guy who reeks of BO once it's over. But for now, let's focus on that breath. This movie is a lot of fun. It gives exactly what we want and what we expect from Deadpool. The film starts with Wade digging up the corpse of Logan from 2017 and making no light of the fact that they are digging up a grave just to try and get some money from a popular character. Then flashes back to Wade living a normal life, but he clearly isn't happy and he wants to matter, even meeting Happy Hogan to try and become an Avenger. Later, Wade's birthday celebrations are cut short by the TVA, who bring him in to tell him that Logan was what was called an anchor point. Basically, an individual that keeps the fabric of a universe from falling apart. Desperate to save his world and the ones that he loves, Deadpool uses the TVA's tech to bounce around the multiverse to try and find another Logan that can fill the spot of the last. He ends up coming across the worst Logan, and brings him to the TVA where we learn that maybe Wade's world can't be saved after all. What follows is a buttload of hijinks, mayhem, and fan service, while Deadpool and Wolverine try to figure out how to be heroes one last time. Like I said, I honestly don't know where to go from here. I mean, performances are great, the chemistry between Reynolds and Jackman is always a treat to watch, the soundtrack is a blend of old Marvel, new original stuff, and songs that will get you a copyright strike faster than getting a block for saying the word cunt. The whole backbone of this movie lies with who's in it, and what they do not just to influence events in the film, but how this movie is actually perceived in the real world. Going from here is serious spoiler talk, you've been warned. Wade and Logan find themselves trapped in the void, the trash heap where all the TVA's evaporation ends up. And it's here where we find a load of characters who I don't think any of us thought we'd be seeing again. The two are captured with a returning character and taken by Pyro to Cassandra Nova, who is the kind of de facto ruler of this place. Wade and Logan escape, find a Deadpool variant, end up fighting once nerves are struck between the two. They're then found and picked up by Daphne Keene's X-23, who takes them to meet the remaining cast. A team is formed to agree to help Paul and Wolvie get back to their world so they can save it, as those helping them were unable to save theirs. Nova learns of a device in the possession of the TVA that can end all of reality, leaving only the void. Can Wolverine and Deadpool come together to stop this, or is everything doomed? It all works out, it's fine. But as I mentioned, the backbone of this movie lies with who's in it, so let's break it down, going from the more revealed ones to the ones I really did not see coming. This is your last warning. If you do not want to know who's in this movie, skip to my final thoughts on the film, or go and watch it and then come back. Here we go. First up, Jennifer Garner's Elektra. We saw an arse shot of her in leaked material, and I think it was heavily speculated anyway that she'd be appearing regardless. It was nice to see her back and kicking ass, while taking a subtle jab at previous real-world relationships. We learn that Daredevil fell victim to Nova, and upon apologising for her loss, she brushes it off, saying it's fine. One of the less speculated characters to appear in this movie, but was rumoured, was Jessica Alba's Invisible Woman. While she may not be in this film, there is someone who is. Yeah, the Human Torch is back, baby! Being faked out into thinking it was Cap, but seeing him launching into the air while yelling flame on was fucking awesome. Chris Evans slips back into the role like a pair of well-worn boots. He may not be in the film for long, but his time on screen is an absolute joy. Now, many have said before that if Marvel brought Cap or Stark back, then they'd be admitting failure, and to an extent, just bringing back Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. in general. It's looking like we're getting there, to be honest, but with this, I was able to easily disassociate between, Cap and Johnny, and it was just really nice to see him back in the Fantastic Four garb. Another rumour floating around was that there would be another actor playing Wolverine, and this is true. We do see many different Hugh Jackman Wolvies, including a comic-accurate short guy, but holy shit, man, I was not ready to see Henry fucking Cavill as Wolverine. He doesn't add really anything to the story, he's only in it for maybe a collective 30 seconds, but my god! Deadpool mentions how they'll treat him better than those idiots down the road. So, is this Marvel confirming that they've got Cavill to be the next Wolverine, or is this just another John Krasinski? I wouldn't mind Cavill in the role, I may do a video about that at some point, but right now, I'm just happy to see him. Now, I would like you all to cast your minds back. Back to a time when Fox was thinking of many solo movies for individual X-Men. An actor was eyed for a certain role, many didn't think it would work, but me having this certain X-Men as my personal favourite and thinking the chosen actor would do a good job, I was kind of hyped for it, but time went on, and I was made more and more upset when it took longer and longer to finally start production, only for it to be canned in the end. That character was Gambit. Channing Tatum's Gambit. I was overjoyed to see him walk into frame. Comic accurate suit, the cards, the eyes, seeing Gambit in live action properly, and just seeing him be such a suave badass. I'm so happy for Tatum that he finally got to be in this role, and seeing one of my favourite comic book characters on screen like this was nothing short of fantastic for me personally. And last but not least, I'm not gonna do any teasing or setting up for this one. Wesley Snipes' Blade. My mate lost his shit next to me while we were watching this when he showed up alongside Elektra and Gambit. And just like him, seeing Blade just one last time, oh man, that was a throwback and a half. The one upsetting thing about his inclusion in this movie though is that he mentions he'll be the only Blade, with Deadpool looking into the camera kind of like a wink wink kind of thing. Might very well be the final nail in the coffin for Mahershala Ali, and that's a real shame because I think he would have been amazing in the role. But, they've fucked around with that movie way too many times now. This might be a subtle announcement that project's over, which, again, is a real shame. It's at this point that I'm going to get probably more insightful here than I think I ever have been on this channel. I would now like you all to think about the characters that I just revealed alongside something which I said earlier. These guys help Wade save his world because they couldn't save theirs. Gambit not even having a chance to. Elektra even says that by doing this, they'll get their ending. I can't really look at this film as an MCU project, because in the end it really isn't one. This is not a continuation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's far detached from that. What this is, it's a final goodbye. It's the last hurrah. It's the ending of the Fox era. Seeing all these characters come together in a way that was deemed impossible when they had their solo movies, it stirs something deep inside me and I can't help but smile. Now, I do have my problems with this film. The CG kind of sucks in areas where it really shouldn't. The plot's incidental and kind of weak. Marvel forgot what they established with Loki, where the void is meant to be at the end of time, not its own dimension. So a sling ring should not be able to get you out of there because it can't time travel. Vanessa being upset with Wade not doing anything completely contradicts what he did in the first two movies. The Happy Hogan part at the start of the film drags on for way too long. Jokes that aren't particularly funny are carried on for way too long as well. And the TVA is as stupid as it was when it was first introduced. But even with all of that, I'm happy this film was made, and I'm happy that we have it. While writing this review, I think I finally understood my feelings towards this movie, and to Fox in general, really. Deadpool and Wolverine is a beautiful send-off for a franchise that was no doubt rocky, but it was what we grew up with. It's as brilliant as it is retarded, but holds great respect and reverence for what came before. A love letter to the projects that soared high, the ones that fell flat, and the ones that never got to be. The movies that started it all, the ones that walked and ran so the golden age of the MCU could fly. And so we've come to it. The era of the Fox superhero movie is now well and truly over. And I believe it's unlikely we'll be seeing these characters played by these actors again. While the credits roll, you'll be taken back to simpler times. Its final moments showing behind the scenes footage of previous Fox movies, and with the movie that I just watched, looking back on my childhood now as an adult, seeing all that footage and all the characters that were such an influence on my childhood, the warm smile that this film so effortlessly worked onto my face was met with a tear.